There it goes. Okay. Story time. Who was that guy that used to do that? Story time. Anyway, this is the Objective Jerk, and I'm said jerk. You guys want to know how stupid I am? I will share how stupid I am. So, I did the last podcast with the headphones, but I don't know what's going on. But for some reason, it just didn't work right with the video program that I have for my computer, and it's like tap record is what it's called. So that's why I've been recording all my podcasts video wise, and like any kind of videos I take on my computer and stuff, and all that kind of stuff. That's what I use. Well, so my last podcast, the podcast, the audio was fine. Okay, the audio. Okay, how do I explain this? So on the actual, so you have the podcast, and then you have the video cast, I guess you would call. Let me just split it up that way, right? So the podcast sounded fine, but the video cast did not. And it was the audio of the video cast that had like a weird something going on. So I was like, what's going on? So I listened to it and I shared it, but I'm like, man, it sounds like crap. So I've been playing around, trying to figure out, did a couple tests, couldn't get to work right. It doesn't work for some reason. So, but I was going to just like, I'm just going to do like I have been, but I did kind of like having the headphones to kind of control my, enunciation, my vocal flex and everything, because when I start I start talking with the podcast I'm like Trump. I'll start talking about something and I don't finish and I move on to something else and whatever. I'm all over the place, right? But with the microphone, I can hear myself, so it kind of helps keep me in check, I think. So I'm going to keep trying with the headphones and just see how that works. Plus, I look more like a podcaster, right? So anyway, so I was looking what else can I do? How else can I record this and that? Now, keep in mind, I have a Mac and I use GarageBand to record my podcast, and I have iMovie to process my videos. Somehow, and I'm stupid, but I'm not. I mean, I don't know. I did research. I looked into stuff, but somehow I missed the fact that iMovie can record on a webcam. So I was just like, what the crap? I was like, seriously? So I just got that ready and I got it set up. I did a test run and it seems to work fine. Now it's mirrored differently. So now the whole thing's going to look different than how most people are used to it. So now if I hold something up to the screen, like this pain reliever, whatever, you'll be able to read it. Before it was reversed. And, so I don't know how I missed that. I don't know how I never read that or caught that. I don't know. And that's what I mean by I'm stupid and I'm retarded. So this is kind of a test run. I just wanted to record a podcast. To test it out, see how it sounds. Plus I have so much time, like I said. I don't have anything to talk about, so I'm just going to share a story. I don't think I've talked about it before. So I was in the Army, spent 2 years in Iraq, not consecutively, but on my first tour, which was 2003 to 2004. So I went there like right after the invasion. I was not there when we invaded. I'm not that cool. I was, like a week or 2 weeks afterward we came. But this was, I don't know, I don't remember exactly when, but we were already in there for a while. And at this point in time, like our job was to help establish reestablished the Iraqi police. Because for those that don't know, when we invaded Iraq, basically the whole country just shut down. They let out all the prisoners out of the prisons, and they just let, like the summer of love, basically, but worse, happen in Iraq. So when we get there, police stations are burned out and looted and all this kind of stuff, and there's no police because there was no support, and it was just, it was a big mess. Picture like, LA or Illinois. And so that was one of our jobs as MPs. Was, I remember, like, one of the first things we had to do was we got grid coordinates for police stations that were, active before the invasion. And so we had to go and locate those and then verify that, yes, those were police stations. I remember doing that for the first little while. And then, they helped establish the police again. They hired the old police officers or whatever, got things going again, got the police stations, remodeled, built up again, and fortified and all that kind of stuff, right? And so then once all that was done, so this story that I'm telling probably happened towards the end, because this was when we were patrolling with the Iraqi police. So we would patrol like at first it was just 2 trucks, 2 Humvees at a time. But then, which is crazy if you think about it now. But I don't remember if it was 3. After a while, it was like, okay, a whole squad had to go out or something. But because at first it wasn't, there wasn't a whole lot of threats towards us. I don't know. People were scared. Generally, it was just the people that were there. So there wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on. There might have been a few here and there. Oh, man. Okay, great. Now my wife's ruining my podcast. Yeah.
So you go still in line because there's these fucking people that were ordering and they don't even know what they want yet. So they just fucking sit there in front of the register trying to figure out what the fuck do they want to order.
Okay.
No, I'm just letting you know.
Oh, okay. No, it's fine. I'm recording a podcast, so I'm not in a rush.
Oh, whatever you say then.
Okay.
You're fine. Bye.
All right. Love you. Bye. I don't know if I'll leave that in or not. My wife's got a little bit of a sailor's. What do you call it? Sailor's. She likes to say the F word, obviously. Not that I don't. I can't criticize. But anyway, so damn it, where was I at? Oh yeah, so when we first get there wasn't a whole lot of, there might have been a few here and there, people that were let out of prison and whatever, wanting to kind of shoot at us or something. There was some shooting and this and that, but there wasn't a whole lot at first. And, stuff did happen. I'm recording. Man. I'm going to title this episode Interrupted. But there wasn't a whole lot going on. But then after we were there for a while, then that's like when terrorists started coming to Iraq because they knew there was American soldiers there and, so on and so forth. But so at first we were just basically, after the initial invasion, all the most of the soldiers and stuff were taken out. And that's probably who we were fighting. It was just soldiers who gave up and were just kind of becoming like, like militia type forces or whatever. Because it was just like all we were doing was just being police. We were just finding bad guys and putting them in jail and this and that, making reports. So that's basically what it ended up kind of becoming towards the end when we were there. And then from when I left in 2004, March of 2004 to 2000, when did I go back? It was the end of 2005. Dang, it seems like it was longer than that, though. Maybe not, though. Yeah, because 2000, that's when I got married. Yeah, and then I remember celebrating, I remember Christmas there. Anyway, So between those two times is when, they started importing terrorists and tactics and equipment and everything, and starting to really attack American soldiers. So by the time I went back, shit was crazy. And, I was the recipient of one of those crazy things I think I've talked about, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. So anyway, the first time I was there, here we are. A lot of the Iraqi police stations are back on track. They've been reformed, rebuilt, and they have Iraqi police that they rehired, and they have Iraqi police that they're training, and all this kind of stuff. So we would go on patrols with some Iraqi police. So I think it was like three of us. So like 3 Humvees, and then like an Iraqi truck or 2. And we would drive to various Iraqi police stations, just make sure things are going good, things are in order, whatever. And then just go with them on any kind of like calls that they had to go on, right? So there was one in particular, it was during the day, I remember, and they had gotten a report that there was a dead woman that had been murdered, right, in some bushes or whatever. So they had to go check it out, and we went with them. And it ended up being like a middle-aged woman. She was in her like full, what's it called? Oh man. The black sheet thing that Muslims wear. I can't think what it's called right now. But she was wearing that, but she was, in like a little stream. I remember it was like there was a little bit of water. And she'd been dead a few days, and she stunk bad. It was gross. I felt bad for her. So she was raped and murdered, come to find out, I think. Well, obviously she was murdered, but I don't remember the details. I want to say raped. I think, because we helped them with that, but like we didn't do like the investigations and stuff. Like the Iraqi police still, if they did, I don't know, probably not. They probably just made the report and assumed, or I don't think they did like an autopsy or anything. Maybe they did, but I doubt it. Anyway, so we go there, we find, they do ask some questions and stuff like that. I remember the Iraqi police and our, squad leader and the interpreters and stuff asking a few questions. But I was, specialist at that time, I think. Maybe PFC, but I think it was a specialist. I don't know, somewhere around there. And so, I had to do the dirty work, and me and I don't remember exactly who. I know I was there. I don't remember if any of my battle buddies were there. I'm sure they were. Maybe they weren't. I don't know. Might have been just Iraqi. I don't know. But I just remember rolling this lady onto like a blanket or a sheet of some kind. And, we all picked her up, 4 of us, maybe even a few more. And, carried her over to the little Toyota pickup truck that was the Iraqi police, put her in the bed of the truck, and then we escorted them or went with them to the closest hospital to, transfer over to the morgue, right? And this poor lady, she stunk so bad. And she was heavy, though, too. She was kind of big. Obviously, she's a little bloated and stuff, but I don't think bloating really adds weight. Does it? I don't know. I'm not a biologist. I only know what women are. But I just remember, driving to the hospital. Traffic always sucked certain places. And we were driving behind the truck that was transporting the woman. And there was, a couple Iraqi police sitting in the bed of the truck with her. And we're just kind of sitting there waiting. And I remember just seeing, just some civilians just walking by on the sidewalk, right? Now, for those that are just listening on the podcast, I guess it's not really that big a difference. Anyway, so they're walking down the sidewalk, and they're just walking, talking, doing whatever. And then all of a sudden they just have this horrible, they react like crazy. They smelt her, and it just hit her like a punch in the face. And they're just like grossed out. They're looking around. They're trying to figure out what it is. They don't know what it is. They keep walking. And it happened a couple times, but we just kind of sitting there laughing. Thought it's a messed up situation. It's sad, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, so that's one story. What time am I at? Man, I'm at 15 minutes. Let's see. I have a bunch of little stories. What else do I got?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for listening to The Objective Jerk. I greatly appreciate it. If you could, like, subscribe, comment on wherever you're finding this, and you can also email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. So, hope you're enjoying it, and please continue on with the episode. I hated, so I have like I think IBS. I have a type of IBS, a form of IBS or whatever. So if I'm stressed out, it goes on full blast. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like, you know how, sometimes, I don't know, like I remember a time when you could kind of be like, oh man, I got to poop. I can feel it coming. I'm going to have to poop or whatever. You know what I mean? And for most people, sorry, this is turning gross, but you can kind of feel it coming. You're like, oh man, I might have to, but for me, it's like, I'm fine. I don't have to shit. And then all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, oh crap, I'm going to shit my pants. Like it would just come from out of nowhere. And it still happens. But so that was kind of a problem for me being in Iraq, right? So I, going on missions, I always had toilet paper. I always had baby wipes. And whenever we would stop at a FOB, forward operating base, or, any kind of whatever, where we were kind of stopping and like chilling, where we're behind some security measures, some guards or whatever, I would use the bathroom, whether I had to or not. I would just go and I would sit and I would try and use the bathroom because I didn't want the shit to hit the fan, literally, when the shit hit the fan. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be in that position. Something's going on, and I'm like, when shit gets crazy, you pucker your ass, I guess, but sometimes, people have shit their pants. So I definitely did not want that to happen, right? So that was kind of like a habit that I made or did, was every time we were somewhere, I would just, whether I had to use the bathroom or not, I would go in there and make it happen. Let's see, where am I at? 17. Wow. Okay. I got to figure out a longer story. I have a bunch of stories. I've said some of them, but I don't know. I don't want to regurgitate the same stories all the time. Maybe something funny. There was the plane crash, right, that happened a little while ago, the helicopter, the Black Hawk that ran into the helicopter. And people, are like, how can you not see it? Like, I can kind of get it because looking through night vision, although I don't know how long she was wearing night vision at that time, but I can attest from experience that when you look through night vision, especially for like a long period of time, you start seeing shit. I remember when we first got to Iraq and we first found our area of operations that we were, as a company, going to build. So like we found an old abandoned like school. I think it was like a junior high or something. And we basically took over it and we built up, fortified the walls. We had housing and a talk for, the battalion, or not battalion, for the company. And we had a little mess hall, chow hall, area to park our, it was a whole little compound, right? And it was just an old school. And it was just, I think they were like, hey, our commander was like, hey, go check out these areas. These are open to possibly be used. And we did, and we found this one, and that's where we stayed. So when we first got there, there was nothing, We were eating MREs. We were shitting in, bucket. I don't know. Like, it's funny, I talk about having the shit all the time, but I don't really remember it at that time. I remember later, eventually, once we got some stuff built. But that was kind of the first thing was, we had to do a couple missions. We had to have some people doing some things, getting some things done. But for the most part, the company was working on building a home, essentially, And we had to fortify, our perimeter, our gates, our security, and all that stuff. So when we first got there, we didn't have any kind of whatever. So that was, part of the job was doing security. And I remember being night, so had to spend the whole night, 12-hour shift, right? Sitting at our Humvee, my team, front entrance, keeping an eye out for anything, right? And it's dark, and there's no power in Iraq at that time, or not much. Or so I think it was rolling blackout. Like sometimes there would be some lights, but where we were at, it was pitch dark, right? So I had a lot of night vision time. And you sit there and you're just kind of looking and you're watching for stuff. You see dogs, and whatever, this and that. And then you start to see things. You're like, man, that looks like somebody. And you'll just be sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, I think someone's there. Someone's there. And then you get like, hey, come here. Look, do you see the whatever, this and that? And you know what I mean? And then, so you got to take a break because it gets hard. It starts, the shadows and the weird lighting, and then everything's green and black, and it starts to play with your eyes a little bit. So, so I can kind of understand how the pilot maybe didn't see the plane exactly, or but then the she had her co-pilot and other people. So that whole thing is just still weird to me, but nothing much has come out afterward now. It's just, I don't know, so much went wrong. She was either a horrible pilot or she did it on purpose, I think. I don't know. Like, what do you think? They were way above the height requirement they're supposed to be. They were way off course. They said they were warned of the plane, but they think they were looking at the wrong plane. I don't know, man. It just didn't seem right. Maybe, I don't know, who knows? It's kind of crazy though. But I haven't heard much about that recently. But I don't know, trying to talk about night vision goggles. 22 minutes, so I have to go to at least 23. Let's see, what's going on with me? Anyway, you can contact me on, there's like a fan mail, I think it's called, on the podcast. So you can make a comment that way. Obviously, the videos, you can make comments. And there's the email, theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. I used to share that all the time. I don't anymore. But yeah, email, theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. What else is going on with me? I think that's it, man. See, I can hear just now when I turned away to talk, I could, so I'm trying to stay close to the microphone and not scream and yell, and just try and be like a nice, soothing voice. Not monotone, but just, not annoying. So I'm working on it, okay? The little feedback that I do get, I'm trying to work on it. So again, I apologize for the previous episode. I know videos, on the video side, the audio is not very good. So it's probably not going to do very well. But that's all right, learn from your mistakes, right? Anyway, so that's kind of it. This was just kind of a test, but I figure I might as well make a podcast out of it. So appreciate you listening and hanging out with me. I welcome feedback, as long as it's within reason and not stupid. But any feedback, any comments are welcomed, really. I actually enjoy the trolls and the haters. It's kind of funny. But yeah, so hit me up on my email, theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. Make a comment, whichever. Thanks for hanging out. God bless, and I will see you guys next time. All right, bye. You just put yourself through another episode of The Objective Jerk. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Please email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, comment wherever you find this, follow. It all helps. But thanks again, and I'll see you next time.